everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Leah and Paul podcast. I am so excited. Paul, why don't you tell everybody what the excitement is about?
Well, we have two announcements. Leah knows about one of them, and then the other one is a surprise to her. Well, it's not a surprise to her, but it's a surprise I'm going to say it on the podcast because we're recording today on August 4th. You'll hear this next week, but today is Leah's birthday.
Oh.
So happy birthday to Leah.
Thank you.
We're very excited about that.
Thank you.
The major news that we do want to share today, though, is after 8 episodes, we have a name for our podcast. We've loved the Leah and Paul podcast name, but after last week's episode, we kind of said, this is what we want to talk about. So we are now the Life, Work, Balance podcast, and we're really excited.
Yay, so exciting.
As the start of the official new name and podcast, we have a really exciting guest here today. Her name's Pamela Horton, and I'll let you introduce yourself, Pamela. Welcome, and tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Congratulations on the new name. Happy birthday, Leah.
Thank you.
You guys have lots of stuff going on. Is it Life Work Balance podcast?
Yeah.
The Life Work Balance. Yeah.
I love you putting life first versus work first. Bravo.
Yay.
Bravo to you both.
Thank you.
So I am a career and success coach, and I help professionals keep the promises that they make to themselves and help them with reorganizing their mindsets so that they can have a more successful, more productive, more balanced, and happier life.
Yeah, so as you may or may not have guessed already, today's topic is about what is coaching. We've talked about it at several episodes. Those that have been listening from the beginning know that this is something I'm doing now. Pamela's just been doing it for a tad longer and has a tad more experience. So we wanted to bring her on. Plus, I had the good fortune of working with her last year. So Pamela, if you could just kind of start by telling people what is coaching, if they're ever interested or not understanding what it is.
Yeah. Well, if you can envision an elite athlete, they have multiple types of coaches. They have their conditioning coach, their physical conditioning coach. They'll have a mindset coach. And what I like to say is coaching actually is not therapy. So talk therapy is when someone goes into an office and speaks with a professional psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, and they talk about their challenges and their issues, but that's what they talk about consistently. They repeat the same stories over and over again, and they remain in this talk therapy type of situation where they remain in the vibration that they are talking about, whatever that problem is, whether it's a domestic problem, a career problem. And coaching is very different from therapy in terms of when you're talking about a challenge, you want to help the client move from where they are to where they want to be. And coaching is a process of the client sharing what their challenges are, and then the two of you brainstorming and devising a plan that suits the client best and creating action steps along the line to move them, again, where they are to where they want to be, whether that's in a life scenario, a career scenario. And then a coach helps that client become accountable or even more accountable in their lives. So you become an accountability partner as well. So coaching is a way to support oneself. For those of you who are in architecture, coaching is similar to a buttress. You know, when you are formulating a foundation for yourself, when you're creating a new story for yourself or a new business, coaches tend to support you and ask the right questions so that you can have breakthroughs, because it's about listening to your clients. Your clients become your subject matter. You get to observe what it is that they're saying, because what we speak into existence. And sometimes when we are living our lives, we get caught up in autopilot. We act out of autopilot, and I can define what that means later on. And when we are on autopilot and we're going through daily activities and we're living with our partners, our spouses, when we're working with our colleagues, everything just continues to go like it's a Groundhog Day because you're on autopilot. And so when you have somebody outside of your family, outside of your circle of friends, outside of your colleagues, who's asking you questions, who's truly interested in what's going on in your life and allows you to hear what it is that you are thinking and speaking, it gives space for that individual to grow, to make better decisions from a place of strength versus weakness.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
That's great. So how'd you get into this space? I'm sure that you didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to do this. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are now.
Thanks. No, I didn't wake up one morning and say I wanted to be a coach. My career started off as a social worker. I worked with adolescents and families for about 15 years. And from there, I actually opened up my own spa and wellness center because stress was very evident in my life at that time. And social work was a way for me to help families grow and experience less stress, less trauma. And when I went into my spa and wellness business, I also did coaching then as well. The reason why I went into social work and coaching in the first place is because I experienced a lot of trauma growing up, and I knew that there was a better way, and I wanted to learn what those better ways were. So even from an early child, I always was learning about different ways of behavior, different ways on how to be happy, how to choose to be happy. And so it was a natural progression to go into social work. And then after I was in my spa business, I saw the clients that were coming to me that were professionals, high performers, high achievers, and they were just on this treadmill of going without ever taking a breath. And it was killing them. They were highly successful, very lucrative businesses and industries that they were in. But at what cost? And I kept hearing myself, at what cost? You're working so hard. And so at that point, I was also the same type of person. I worked a full-time job as a social worker. I was in graduate school for my master's in organizational development. I decided to open up my own spa and wellness center simultaneously. Wow. I was a single mother of a 5-year-old, all at the same time. And what I was seeing from my clients, they were becoming a mirror to me. I was living the same type of life, and I wanted to learn how to just breathe and relax and not be so unhealthy. That same time frame in my life, I had a pneumonia twice in 1 year, a walking pneumonia twice in 1 year. And my health was deteriorating. My relationships were deteriorating. And the relationship with myself, if I ever really had one in the first place, was deteriorating. And so I just took a really hard look at my life, the lives of my clients in the spa and the wellness center. And I wanted something different, and I wanted to provide something different. And I love researching things. And so what I was researching, I wanted to be able to teach and share with others. And so I went back to obtain my certification in coaching and built my practice inside the company that I was working for at the time, and haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. So I know a little bit about social work. Do you feel like social work and coaching kind of go hand in hand?
Therapy and social work and coaching definitely are supplements to one another. However, over the years that I've been doing this work, to be quite honest, I've actually grown less and less of a fan of therapy, because I've had clients come to me that have been in therapy for 20 years, 25 years, and including medications in their therapy practice. And they're still the same way that they were when they started therapy. And when they joined me and the work that I do, I refer to as the business of you, they started to experience breakthroughs immediately and left their therapy practice and therapy sessions and just started to coach with me, and their lives began to change. So they are a great support and they are a great supplement. But I really believe that, again, therapy keeps you in this vortex of saying the same things over and over again. And what we repeatedly say, we begin to believe, and our brains prove us right no matter what. Our brains will do everything in their power to prove us right. So if we're repeating the same thing, we're cementing those beliefs in ourselves. Where coaching moves you where you are, gives you a plan to move out of that area, to elevate your vibration or your frequency and how it is that you're feeling, and actually acquire the goals that you're looking to acquire and achieve.
One of the things that I noticed, I made the decision that I want to do something different in life probably about 6 months ago. And when I was looking at different coaching options, there was, I've mentioned this on the podcast before, there was the person that said, hey, assuming that I just wanted to change careers, which may not even have been the situation. They didn't even really ask questions. It was, hey, I can help you increase your salary by 20%, like tomorrow. And if you sign up today, like your life will be better tomorrow. It'll just happen. And I felt that the whole thing was, I was very turned off by it. And I almost decided like, hey, this isn't what I want to do, because I don't really find this authentic. And then you and I connected just by happenstance on LinkedIn. And I kind of said, well, wait a minute. Now, this is more what I'm looking for. This person's, number one, trying to seek to understand a little bit about me, saying, if you want to do it, great. If you don't, if it's not a good fit, understood. And you have to do it. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it for you. So, kind of walk us through how you see yourself, whether it's in the industry or see yourself showing up for your clients now or in the future.
Yeah, thanks for that, Paul. So when I first became involved in the coaching industry, what you explained earlier about that, and as you're saying those stories, we can get you that 20% increase tomorrow. You don't forget that. Don't forget to add that.
Yeah. Used car
when I first started in the industry and I was part of a coaching school, it was definitely geared towards, I felt, becoming a celebrity, and I started drinking the Kool-Aid. You have to market this way. You have to launch your business this way. You've got to post your comments on social media. You just have to do everything that I wasn't really comfortable with. And the more I was involved in the coaching industry, and the coaching industry became very much so an online business, a joint venture business. And I was part of that joint venture world as well, where coaching professionals or different types of professionals, healing professionals, would share each other's products to each other's lists, and then they would earn a commission based on what was sold. And that didn't feel right to me. I saw it for what it was. And I began to see the truth of the situation, which was coaches were being trained to become celebrities, not to learn how to perfect their practice of coaching. And I just became turned off of it as well. And so I got so sick of it, I turned away from everything online. And I said I was going to go back to my roots, go back to how I knew how to grow business. Because when I was working full time, I didn't mention this earlier, there was a time where I was actually in business development working for an insurance carrier, and I did great in sales, and the social work and coaching skills helped with the sales process. And so I said I was going to go back to my roots and build my practice and business the way that I knew how to build business without online. So I've created a very much boutique business for myself, and I only work with 7 individuals at a time. My practice is very different from the coaching industry itself that is professed to be the way that it is online. And when I rejected that way and began to trust myself and put myself out there in just conversations, it allowed me to, again, perfect my coaching practice and make the client the center of the practice. My clients, again, are my subject matter, and I want to know about them. They are the ones that are going to have to do the work. And so when I only accept 7 people on in my practice, that allows me not to be spread so thin. Other coaches, the industry itself, will have you launch programs. And it's a difference between a launch coach or a CEO coach. A launching coach relies upon email lists and ads and posting memes and comments on social media, and a CEO coach or a boutique coach relies upon their results and the results of their clients and the results that are actually significant and that is changing people's lives. And that's what I do. And when I share stories or when I ask people questions, I'm able to help them understand the beliefs that they're currently operating under in a very short period of time. So instead of working on my marketing, I'm working on researching different modalities and techniques. I'm working on myself and the business of me so that I can be the most aware, most present coach and individual for my clients, so that I can know that I'm asking the right questions and I'm offering the proper guidance for them. So there's a difference. Does that answer your question, Paul?
Yeah, it really does. I think that a lot of times there's a lot of misnomers too. And I think, like we just talked about, a lot of the industry has caused that. But I also think kind of like I said, the life coach type concept has created itself. I mean, it's put itself in this position. What are some of the most frequent things that people think about the industry that you just want to say, hey, that's not what it should be or is?
Mm-hmm. So I feel that over the years, what prevents people from looking into coaching as a possible resource for themselves is actually their ego and their fear of, people want to make sure that others, well, first of all, people are concerned about what people think about them. And when they lead with that, then they're going to be concerned about people thinking that there's a weakness in hiring a coach and that there's actually a need to speak with somebody. There is a stigma. It's not as bad as what it was 20 years ago, 15 years ago, but there is still a stigma, much like therapy has. And when people want to put on an image that everything is fine, that their careers are perfect, their home life is perfect, there's no need for help. So I think that their own ego gets in the way. And I have an acronym for ego, 2 of them actually. It's edging goodness out or edging God out. And when people operate from their ego, they're leaving money on the table, they're leaving their health on the table, they're leaving opportunities and resources on the table that can truly, truly change their lives.
Yeah, I always, you're in the Tampa Bay region. I'm in Tampa Bay, and I wrote this a couple months ago and kind of said, like, Tom Brady, who is probably the greatest, one of the greatest athletes and greatest quarterback of all time, needs a quarterback coach, someone to help him be a better quarterback. Then I think it's fair to say that we all could benefit from getting better. But something about athletics, we just accept that an NFL team would never not have a coach, head coach. They would never not have a staff of coaches. Like, it'd be crazy to think that that would be the case. And these are literally in the 99.999 percentile of people at their position. And people are just like, oh, yeah, of course they have to have good coaching. How are they going to get to that next level? But as humans, we're sitting here like, well, you know, I couldn't benefit from this. It's like, what?
Well, the other thing too is that it does require work. I actually often try to talk my potential clients out of working with me because the work isn't for the faint at heart. You know, you start off with one challenge that you want to work through, heal, rise to the next level. But Simon Sinek says it very, very well. And that is, how we do one thing is how we do anything. And when you start off with one challenge, it's pulling the thread, and there's a root cause for every type of behavior. There's a root cause for every type of loss. There's a root cause for the reason why you are holding yourself back. And people generally like convenience. They like their prescription medications. They like to pop that magic pill to make something go away or to improve, whether it's steroids in their physical appearance or whatever. And people, human beings, don't like pain. We run away from it. And they view coaching as a potential pain point. And it is. But what they don't realize is that when you walk towards the pain is lessened and shortened, the time frame that you experience it, because the only way out of something is actually through it. And what better way to go through something than to have a sidekick that has your back? If you think of gymnastics and they do their routine on the walking beam, and you have to jump on a catapult to get up onto the beam. And at any point, if they fall off, the coach is there to catch them. And so what better way to go through pain, to go through a scary experience, a loss, if you're grieving, whatever the case may be, what better way to go through it with somebody that's been trained, with somebody that's not going to get triggered like your loved ones or even your colleagues would? What better way to process something than with someone who truly has your back because you've invested in yourself? So there is a stigma, but another analogy I'd like to share is, if you're ever familiar with cross-stitching and you have this beautiful image that you're looking at, but on the back of that cross-stitching, it's a mess. If you were to turn that around, the thread is everywhere, you got knots everywhere, it's big loops and everything. That's what people feel like. They want to put on this best image, but in their mind, their home life is a bit disorganized. And because of that, they are less likely to want people to see that. And so that's what sticks with them most. And it's a shame, because somebody can actually help them through that, so that even their home life, their mindset is clear of clutter. They become more clear-headed, and they're able to make better decisions for themselves, because now they're creating a new baseline for themselves to operate from.
So this is kind of a double-edged sword type question. If somebody was interested in coaching, what advice would you give them, or what would you say is, hey, this would be the next step? And then on the flip side, I know that I didn't know much about it until I started working with someone, and I realized that you helped me realize this, and it was right in front of me the whole time, that this is actually something I have been doing and want to do moving forward. So what would be the step if somebody said, hey, I would really like to be able to help people? Kind of a double-edged sword question there.
So what should people look for if they want to hire a coach?
Yeah. If somebody was interested in hiring a coach today, what advice would you give them to maybe help them battle that ego, like you said, and really decide, hey, I probably could benefit from this?
The first thing is to be honest with yourself. Take a real solid inventory as to the areas as to which you would like more improvement in, that you could use help with organizing the disorganization. And shop around. A coach needs to fit like a super good pair of jeans. You want to make sure that there's going to be a fit, that your values align, that the experiences that you have had that are causing you either that hold you back or that have caused any kind of stops at work in terms of your promotions or things of that nature, you want to make sure that they've also gone through those experiences and have come out the other side and have helped however many people on the other side come out through on the other side as well. Shop around, have conversations, and ask questions. What are these coaches' success rates? Ask to speak with some of their existing clients. Don't go to their website. An interesting fact, I actually don't have a website. That came as a result of the industry itself. I just rejected that. I utilize LinkedIn as my professional page. And the reason why I do that is because you can't lie on LinkedIn. You're truly networking with people, whether it's virtually or in person in the community. And people know what you're doing. And the testimonials on that website, you're not enhancing or tweaking in any way, shape, or form like a coach could on their own personal website. And the reason why I say that is because that is something that I've witnessed when I was working in the JV and coaching world online with other coaches. They would take testimonials from their clients and they would actually tweak them in their own words and put them on their website. Wow. So check out their professional LinkedIn pages, see who it is that they are promoting, because a lot of coaches have multiple streams of income, who they are promoting. Do you believe in their beliefs and their values? So you just want to make sure it's a good fit. And then lastly, trust your gut. Don't make a decision on impulse. Sit with it and really just do a pros and cons list for each individual or each coach that you've spoken with. In terms of professionals who are looking to possibly go into coaching as a profession, or really any career that is helping people, there's art coaches, there's all kinds of coaches, there's eating disorder coaches. What is it that you have had to overcome in your lifetime? What is it that people come to you and ask you questions about? What is it that you're actually able to help people on and move forward in? And what brings a smile to your face the most? What makes you feel the most alive and pumped up? Those are the areas, and there's probably a coaching category for that type of work. Research it, ask questions. People still want to help others. So pick up the phone, send an email to your favorite author that's in coaching. Call me, email me, anybody that's in the coaching industry. And just, again, be honest with yourself, because being a coach requires you taking a hard look at yourself, your own beliefs, and your own behaviors. And you want to provide a good service. And the only way to do that is to be supremely self-aware. And that's part of the process as well.
So I'm curious, you said you were certified as a coach. Does everybody have to get certified as a coach if they're interested in going into that? Is that state to state, or what's the process there?
So I do believe different states have different regulations, much like any industry.
Right.
You do not need a certification in coaching to be a coach. If you have experience and you can have a professional coach, a career coach, or whatever kind of coach, actually help you look back at what you've been good at and what you've done over the years, and you have a process that can help somebody, that's coaching, that's mentorship. You do not need a certification. In fact, it's helpful, though, to have the credentials, because a lot of people won't hire somebody unless you have credentials behind you. But if you have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, or a bachelor's degree and a certain amount of experience, most people who you connect with, and if they're asking the proper questions and there's a fine connection, they're going to overlook that. Mm-hmm. Because I have learned that just because somebody has a certification or a degree does not make them the best at what they do.
Right.
It's the work that they put into themselves that makes them the best at what they do.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, Leah, when I remember the conversation, and I was like, well, I didn't even research it. I was really just kind of trying to have it be a block of like an extra step to avoid doing something.
Right.
Honestly, this
Yes.
is transparent as I could be.
there.
I was just like, well, you probably have to go back to school.
I'm sure I can't do this.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to take out that to do this. And then, I'm talking to Pamela and she's like, well, no, you don't necessarily have to do that. It's like, well, all right, now I got to figure out something else. It's like, well, I've never done it before. And then she goes,
That's
well,
funny.
we walk through what I do currently for my profession. And it's like, well, okay, I guess I do a lot of this.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of fun when those moments happen, when you kind of can't get out of your own way and you want to come up with excuses, and then somebody just like checks them off one by one.
She's showing off her accountability there.
Well, it's like when somebody's like, well, I really want to lose weight. And it's like, okay, cool. Do you exercise? No, I don't really want to do that. How do you eat? Well, I really don't watch what I eat. It's like, all right then. What do you do? I don't know.
Doing the thing that's making you sick first, and then you build the process.
Right.
So you discussed a little bit about how obviously, even if somebody's coming to you for business purposes or whatever, typically there's, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm new to all of this. So I'm kind of asking questions that I think maybe our listeners will have, because I'm as blind to this as they are. We discussed that even if they come to you for business purposes, that there's typically an underlying thing going on, maybe at home or maybe in their own head. So obviously, as the coach, you're getting a lot of sensitive material about their lives. Is there like doctors have a patient-doctor confidentiality? Is there paperwork people sign? How do they come into it feeling at ease, knowing that all of their guts being spilled out are staying in that room?
So my process is that we have an agreement that includes the confidentiality piece. Their business is their business. It doesn't go any further than the conversation that we have, and it remains with me. And so the agreement is about confidentiality. It's about the process itself. It's about what they can expect from me and what I'm looking for in terms of expectations from them in our partnership. So I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe anything, but it is confidential, 100%. And I do work with companies and employers. So I have multiple employees from the same company. And it's not a balancing act because it's not an issue, because confidentiality is a priority.
So I know that your career has taken you a few different steps, and right now it seems like you're in a really great spot with your coaching practice. So normally when people are in that spot, they're always thinking about kind of what's next. So what is next for you? What are you currently working on? And other than, this is probably the peak here, is being on the Life Work Balance podcast.
That's right.
But if there was something that was going to compete with it, what is it?
So when I had mentioned earlier about the industry pushing the coaching students to be celebrities, get a book, do blogs, interact on social media, this, that, and the other thing. When I walked away from that, at that time, I was caught up in that swell of energy. And when I walked away from that, I said, I'm going to let my clients tell me when it's time for me to write a book. I'm going to let my clients tell me when it's time for me to do something different, because again, it was about my clients. I wanted to perfect my practice. And so this last year, I've received more requests for a book. And so I have started writing my book. I used to have a podcast called Calling the Real You. And I have had requests this last year, multiple ones, for resurrecting and or creating a new one. So I'm in the process of creating a new one called The Business of You, which goes hand in hand with my actual process and program. And that's it for now, because I really like to not spread myself so thin. I want to remain laser focused, and I don't want to chase the shiny object. So right now I'm focusing on my practice, my book, and the podcast.
So exciting.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. That's awesome.
Thank you. Good
Leah,
stuff.
anything that you want to ask to finish this up?
Less a question, more just my own observation. So for anybody that doesn't know, I have started taking coaching classes with Paul, which is really awesome. And we've only had a couple of sessions, but it's a journey. Let me tell you guys right now, anybody interested in getting into taking coaching classes, you start with, I'm going in to talk about this. And then by the first hour, you're like on a totally different topic. You're like, oh shit, I guess that was a thing in my head, because otherwise I wouldn't have brought that up. But I've got a lot of things on my plate, so it's been really helpful for me to organize. And like you said, Pamela, it's kind of like I have this cluster in my brain. How do I organize all the chaos? It's been really helpful to me for that. Two other things, though. It's been extremely motivating to me because I kind of feel like, and I guess this goes hand in hand, I have somebody holding me accountable. So I have an accountability partner that's helping to motivate me, because you're like, oh man, I said I'm doing all these things. I need to do it because I have to talk to them next week and tell them what I did. So my feeling on it, on what, it's only been a couple sessions, but if you're interested in it, take the time and the money, invest in yourself, try it out. But like you guys said, make sure it's somebody you feel comfortable with, because you need to talk about the uncomfortable with that person to really get to the next level. It's like the onion layers. You feel this way, but why do you really feel this way about that? So it's been kind of cool for me just in a few sessions to dig through a few things that I've been working through in my head, and it's kind of gotten me pushed through to a next level of, all right, we've got a little more clarity in this chaos I got going on here. So I, so far, am a fan of coaching. Paul's doing an awesome job. That's just my input on it. And like I said, I don't know a lot about coaching, but so far, A+. I'm a fan.
What a plug.
Yeah, seriously. Well,
Thanks,
we're not here for nothing,
Let me
Paul.
congratulate you, because coaching is not for the faint at heart. And you are putting the work in clearly. If you're enjoying it and you're seeing the value of it, congratulations, Paul, for you for helping Leah, even the first few sessions that you're having together. But thank you, both of you, for putting the effort in, because the ripple effect, like the pebble thrown into the pond, the ripple effect that you're having, not just on the podcast and the people who are listening to it, but in your daily lives, the people that you come into on a regular basis, you're forever changed for the better. And that ripple effect reaches out to all of us. And we need more of that. We need more accountability. We need more respect. We need more people healing and moving forward versus staying in their own cesspool, if you will. Yeah. And so congratulations, and thank you both for doing the work. And to your point, Leah, you go to coaching and you think that you start talking about one thing, but an hour later you're talking about something completely different. What I've learned is the issue that you want to talk to somebody about is never really the issue. It's always something different that you don't really understand or know just yet. And you won't know unless you have the opportunity to sit down with somebody who's trained or who has the experience, who can walk you through it. So if you're considering coaching, whoever's listening, reach out to Paul, reach out to myself. You can find me and email me at my name, which is Pamela_Horton@me.com, or even shoot me a text at 860-682-3333. I'd love to talk with you and help you with any decisions that you're currently wanting or needing to make in your life at this point. And thank you both for having me.
Yeah. We'll make sure we put all of that in the show notes too, so that everybody can get that.
Yeah, it's a really cool experience. This has been a fun show personally for me, because I think that, as I've shared on this podcast that people before, I started this process in February. And sometimes I sit there and go, well, gee whiz, nothing's really happened. And then I actually look back at what I've done since February to today, August 4th. And it's really a cool journey and process. I mean, we didn't have a podcast that long ago. And Pamela kind of got me started in this journey. As I've shared the story before, Leah and I were just talking after a run, and she said, you should coach people on this stuff. And it's like, well, that's actually what I'm thinking about doing.
Funny story.
So it's kind of a full circle for me. This has been really awesome. Great experience. Pamela, I don't think you know this, but we're actually international. We have some people in Finland that somehow listen. So shout out, as always, Finland.
We love our Finlanders.
And as always, we kind of got away from it today, but if you're feeling good about yourself and you want to reward yourself with some great cookies, Cleveland Cookie Guy is your source for all your delicious cookies. Shout out to our show sponsor, Cleveland Cookie.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Pamela, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and all your knowledge. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure. Take care, you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.